and my executive committee members, I invite you all, I welcome you all, to today's webinar. Friends, today we have Himalbhai. Himalbhai is a known face to us and has a company, Interface Capital Markets. Is a IIM Ahmedabad graduate. આપણા માટે જો કે નવા નથી, છતાંય આ એક ટૂંકી એમની ઓળખાણ. ઘણી સોશિયલ ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશન્સમાં એક્ટિવ છે અને આજનો જે ટોપિક છે ESG, એન્વાયરમેન્ટલ, સોશિયલ એન્ડ ગવર્નન્સ. હવે ગવર્નન્સ તો બધાને ખ્યાલ હશે જ, સોશિયલ અને એ ઉપરાંત જે એન્વાયરમેન્ટલના સેબીએ નવા ક્લોઝ ને બધા રૂલ્સ મૂક્યા છે, which are in line with what our honorable Prime Minister has signed international treaties to reduce our carbon footprint. એના ઉપર ખૂબ જ જરૂરી છે, કારણ કે જે અમુક જૂની ટેકનોલોજીની કંપનીઓ છે, એ કંપનીઓ એને આઈ થિંક 2025 પછી કે 30 હેમલભાઈ કહેશે, એ પછી કાર્બન ફૂટપ્રિન્ટ ટેક્સ આપવો પડશે, which will hit their profitabilities. So, not taking more time, I thank you, Himalbhai, for having accepted our invitation for today. I hand over the podium to you. Thank you.
Samir bhai, just a second. Sorry to interrupt you. Mahesh bhai ne બીજા કમિટમેન્ટ છે, તો 5 મિનિટ્સ આપણે એમને આપી શકીએ સ્ટાર્ટિંગમાં?
ના, of course, Himalbhai. Sorry, Maheshbhai has other engagement, એટલે મને રિક્વેસ્ટ કરેલી. મહેશભાઈ, I welcome you. ઘણા સમય પછી આપ બધાને મળો છો. I hope કે આજે કંઈક નવા શુદ્ધ સમાચાર સારા આપો અને BSC ને કહો કે આ માર્જિનની વાતો ભૂલી જાય. થેન્ક યુ. મહેશભાઈ, પ્રણવ, એમને અનમ્યુટ કરો.
હા, મહેશભાઈ, તમે પ્લીઝ ગો હેડ.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Maheshbhai, you can start your.
આજિન તો હેલ્થી પેક છે વસ્તુ. થેન્ક યુ સર, થેન્ક યુ સો મચ સર.
પ્રણવ, મહેશભાઈ ને શું ઇશ્યુ છે?
આઈ થિંક એમના ત્યાં કનેક્શન નો ઇશ્યુ લાગે છે. મહેશભાઈ, અનમ્યુટ કરીને પ્લીઝ યુ કેન સ્ટાર્ટ યોર પ્રેઝન્ટેશન. Yes, please go ahead. Unmute કરશો પહેલા.
Yeah. Thanks. Actually, it's a little bit network. Unmute કરી નાખ્યું, કરી કાઢી.
Okay. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
First of all, I like to thanks GISA members. Thank you, sir. GISA members who has been joined this webinar. And normally, આપણે ઘણા પ્રોડક્ટનું તો બધું બહુ જાણકારી, પણ હમણાં રિસન્ટલી 1.5-2 વર્ષમાં ઘણા ચેન્જીસ આવ્યા છે, એ હજુ સુધી ઇન્વેસ્ટર્સને ધ્યાનમાં નથી હોતા. એટલે આઈ વુડ લાઈક ટુ હેવ ધી રીઝન ડેવલપમેન્ટ્સ કે બધા કયા આવ્યા છે. આઈ હેવ માય PPT બિટ.
મહેશભાઈ, તમારું સિગ્નલ તૂટે છે, વિડિયો બંધ કરી દો, વાંધો નહીં.
PPT શેર નહીં.
મહેશભાઈ, વિડિયો બંધ કરી દો.
એક જ મિનિટ. ઓકે. નોર્મલી આપણે રીઝન ડેવલપમેન્ટ તો એક અત્યારે કહીએ છીએ ઇન્ટરઓપરેટેબિલિટી, રાઈટ? હવે ઇન્ટરઓપરેટેબિલિટી એટલે શું છે? પહેલું તો નોર્મલી ઘણા આપણા જીસાના જે મેમ્બર્સ છે બધા એજેડ છે અને ઘણા ટ્રેડર્સ પણ છીએ એમાં. હવે ઇન્ટરઓપરેટેબિલિટી નો મેઇન મીનિંગ એ થાય છે કે તમે પહેલા એવું હતું કે એક એક્સચેન્જમાં લીધું હોય અને ઇન્ટ્રાડે કરવા વાળા જે ટ્રેડર્સ હોય છે એને નોર્મલી સારો રેટ બીજા એક્સચેન્જમાં ક્યાંક મળતો હોય છે તો લાભ નથી મળતો. તો પહેલો ચેન્જ આવ્યો કે આ ઇન્ટરઓપરેટેબિલિટી થ્રુ તમારે બાય ગમે તે એક્સચેન્જમાં કરો અને સેલ પણ ગમે તે એક્સચેન્જમાં કરી શકો છો. તો જે અત્યારે સેટલમેન્ટ થાય છે કેશ, પહેલા પણ થતું હતું કેશ સેટલમેન્ટ, જે ટી ગ્રુપ સિવાયની કંપનીમાં કરો તો સેટલમેન્ટ કેશ થતું હતું, એ સિમિલર રીતે નેટિંગ થઈને તમારું કેશ સેટલમેન્ટમાં થશે. બીએસસીમાં લીધા છે, હવે કોઈ બીજા એક્સચેન્જમાં કોઈ સારો રેટ આવે કે ભાઈ એનએસસીમાં લીધું છે, ત્યાં લીધું છે ને કોઈ બીજા બીએસસીમાં સારો રેટ આવે છે પણ મારે એનએસસીમાં જ વેચવું પડે એવું હવે રહ્યું નથી. અને સાથે સાથે ઘણીવાર એવું હતું કે માર્જિન પણ તમારે 2 વાર આપવા પડતા હતા કે અહીંયા લઈને ત્યાં વેચો તો એ થયું હોય કે સપોઝ સ્ટોક પણ હોય બરાબર છે તો ઘણીવાર તમે કે ભાઈ મને બેનિફિટ 3 રૂપિયાનો ત્યાં મળે છે તો તમે ત્યાં વેચો તો ત્યાં પણ તમારે માર્જિન આપવું પડતું. હવે આ વસ્તુ એકદમ સહેલી થઈ ગઈ છે કે ડબલ માર્જિન વગર તમે સેમ ડે બેનિફિટ રેટનો લઈ શકો છો. એક વસ્તુ આ સારામાં સારી થઈ ગઈ છે. બીજી વસ્તુ થઈ છે કે આપણે કહીએ છીએ પ્લેજ. ઘણીવાર લોકો માર્જિન માટે કરીને સ્ટોક પ્લેજ કરતા હતા. હવે જ્યારે પ્લેજ થતું હતું ત્યારે સ્ટોકને મેમ્બર્સના એકાઉન્ટમાં ટ્રાન્સફર થતું હતું સૌથી, અને એ મેમ્બર્સ પછી આગળ જ્યાં આપતો હોય એ એકચ્યુઅલ જે ઇન્વેસ્ટરના જે સ્ટોક હોય છે એ ક્યાં આગળ છે એ ખબર નહોતી પડતી. પણ હવેની સિસ્ટમમાં એવું કરી નાખ્યું કે તમારો પ્લેજ સ્ટોક તમે કોઈ પણ રિક્વેસ્ટ મેમ્બરને આપો કે ભાઈ મારે સ્ટોક પ્લેજ કરવો છે, રાઈટ, તો એ સ્ટોક કોઈ પણ અકાઉન્ટમાં ટ્રાન્સફર, મેમ્બર્સના અકાઉન્ટમાં ટ્રાન્સફર
આઈ થિંક મહેશભાઈને કોઈ ટેકનિકલ ઇશ્યુ લાગે છે, અત્યારે ફેસ કરી રહ્યા છે. અવાજ પણ થોડો બ્રેક થતો હતો એમનો. સમીરભાઈ
ફોન કરીને કે ના હોય તો મોબાઈલ થી કનેક્ટ થઈ જાય, અથવા પછી વી સ્ટાર્ટ વિથ હેમલભાઈ.
ઓકે, આ ફરીથી જોઈન થયા, લેટ્સ સી.
એમને કેવું હોય કહી દો કે મોબાઈલ થી થઈ જાવ એવું હોય તો વિધાઉટ વિડિયો.
યસ,
યા સોરી, આ તો ના એટલે થઈ ગયું છે. સોરી થઈ ગયું. એકચ્યુઅલી થોડુંક કનેક્ટિવિટીનો પ્રોબ્લેમ આવે છે.
હા, કઈ વાત.
એટલે નોર્મલી પ્લેજ રીપ્લેજ કરો ત્યારે પ્લેજમાં પણ તમારે એક હવે સિક્યુરિટી તौर ઉપર જ્યારે પણ રિક્વેસ્ટ આપી હોય તો ડેપોઝિટરી તરફથી તમને એક ઓટીપી આવે છે રજિસ્ટર. એટલે આમાં મેન્ડેટરી થઈ ગઈ છે કે મોબાઈલ નંબર અને ઈમેલ આઈડી એ મેન્ડેટરી કરવામાં આવ્યો છે, જેથી આ બધી વસ્તુની આપણને ઇન્વેસ્ટર્સને એક ફાયદા મળી શકે. એટલે ઓટીપી ઇમિડિયેટલી આવે. ઓટીપીમાં તમને પૂછવામાં આવે છે કે તમે પ્લેજ કર્યું છે કે નથી કર્યું. તમે ઓકે યસ કહો એટલે તમારું આગળ પ્રોસેસ થાય છે. એટલે એક હવે બેનિફિટ થઈ ગયો છે કે આપણી ઘણીવાર એવું હોય છે કે ભાઈ હું સ્ટોક ઘણીવાર આમાં ઘણા એવા છેલ્લા 2 વર્ષમાં ઘણા એવા કેસ પણ થયા છે. લોકોને સાંભળવામાં આવ્યા છે કે ઘણા મેમ્બર્સ આઉટ થઈ ગયા છે અને ઘણો સ્ટોક્સ ઇન્વેસ્ટર્સનો એ લોકોએ બહાર કરી નાખેલો હતો. તો એની ધ્યાનમાં રાખીને એક આ ડેવલપમેન્ટ આખું મોટામાં મોટું થયું છે અને એ તમારા એકાઉન્ટમાં જ રહે છે. જ્યારે પણ કોઈ મેમ્બર કે ભાઈ તમને તમારો સ્ટોક અમને ટ્રાન્સફર કરો તો ઇટ ઇઝ નોટ રિક્વાયર, બરાબર છે. એ તમે જ્યારે એને આપો છો ત્યારે તમારે એક એને એપ્લિકેશન્સ કરો એટલે ત્યારે તમારે એક લીન ક્રિએટ થાય છે અને તમારા સ્ટોકમાં તમારા ડીમેટ એકાઉન્ટમાં બ્લોક રહ્યા કરે છે. તો એક આ સારામાં સારો મોટો ચેન્જ આવેલો છે કે જે ડેવલપમેન્ટમાં સૌથી ઇન્વેસ્ટર્સને ફાયદો થાય છે. અને સાથે પણ તમને આઈડેન્ટિફિકેશન્સ પણ થાય છે કે આ ક્યાં આગળ લીન થયું છે. હવે આગળ અગેન રિપ્લેસ થાય છે એ પર્ટિક્યુલર સ્ટોક, તો ક્યાં આગળ રિપ્લેસ થયું છે એ પણ તમારા ડીમેટ એકાઉન્ટમાં ઇન્ટિમેશન્સ દેખાય છે કે ભાઈ આ આગળ રિપ્લેસ થયો છે સ્ટોક કરીને. તો એક આ સારામાં સારી ઇનિશિયેટિવ છે કે જે વખતે તમે માર્જિન તરીકે આપતા હો તો એક ધ્યાન રાખવું કે ભાઈ તમારો સ્ટોક ટ્રાન્સફર કરવાની હવે જરૂર નથી. બીજું છે કે માર્જિન, પહેલા જે હતું કે ભાઈ અપફ્રન્ટ માર્જિન નહોતું, પણ હવે એક સેફગાર્ડ માટે કે ભાઈ મેમ્બર્સ બીજા થર્ડ પાર્ટી અને આમાં એક પ્લેજ રિપ્લેજમાં પણ એક વસ્તુ સારામાં સારી બીજી થઈ છે કે તમારો ઘણીવાર એવું હતું કે પહેલાં ડીમેટ એકાઉન્ટમાં જ્યારે ટ્રાન્સફર માલ થતો હતો મેમ્બર્સના એકાઉન્ટમાં, ત્યારે એ સપોઝ તમે 5 લાખ રૂપિયાનો માલ ટ્રાન્સફર કર્યો હોય અને તમે ખાલી યુટિલાઇઝેશન ખાલી 2 લાખ રૂપિયાનું જ કર્યું છે અને બાકીનો 3 લાખનું માર્જિન આમનામ જ રહેતું હતું, બરાબર છે. તમારું જે ઇન્વેસ્ટર ઓરિજિનલ ઇન્વેસ્ટરનું હોય, પણ જ્યારે ટ્રાન્સફર ફિઝિકલમાં થતા હતા ત્યારે મેમ્બર્સ શું કરતા હતા, એ માર્જિન અગેન બીજા કોઈ ઇન્વેસ્ટર માટે યુઝ થતું હતું. તો પણ હવે આ વસ્તુ એકદમ બ્લોક થઈ ગઈ છે કે તમે નેક્સ્ટ ડે માટે તમને મળતું હતું તે વખતે પણ એ વખતે મેમ્બર્સને થોડું કંઈક તકલીફ હોય તો પ્રોબ્લેમ થઈ જતા હતા કે ભાઈ માર્જિન મને કેમ નથી મળતું કરી. તો આ સિસ્ટમને પણ બ્લોક કરી નાખી છે કે તમારો પ્લેસ કરેલો માલ તમને જ એનું બેનિફિટ મળે, એ થર્ડ ઇન્વેસ્ટર્સને કે ભાઈ બીજા કોઈ ઇન્વેસ્ટર્સને મેમ્બર પાસ ઓન ના કરી શકે. તો આ સારામાં સારી વસ્તુ એક બની ગઈ પ્લેજ અને રીપ્લેજમાં. પછી એક આવ્યું છે માર્જિન. જ્યારે માર્જિન લેવામાં આવે છે એનું કારણ એક મોટું છે કે સેફગાર્ડ થાય છે, ઇન્વેસ્ટરને પણ સેફગાર્ડ છે, સામેની પાર્ટીને પણ સેફગાર્ડ કરવામાં છે. તો એક આ માર્જિન મેન્ડેટરી થઈ ગયું છે કે અરાઉન્ડ 20% અપફ્રન્ટ માર્જિન તમે બાય કરો કે સેલ કરો, આ વોલેટિલિટીને ધ્યાનમાં રાખીને એ માર્જિન કલેક્ટ કરવામાં આવે છે. જે સ્ક્રિપ્ટનું જે પ્રમાણે માર્જિન હોય છે એ પ્રમાણે માર્જિન કલેક્ટ કરવામાં આવે છે. તો એક આ નવી સિસ્ટમ ચાલુ કરી છે. બીજું એ છે આઈપીઓનું તો બધાને ધ્યાનમાં છે, આસબાને. હવે બીજું એક નવું સારું આવ્યું છે, અત્યારે બીએસસી તો પ્રોવાઈડ એમના ફ્રન્ટ એન્ડમાં જે સોફ્ટવેર ડેવલપ થયું છે એમાં આ ઓપ્શન કરી નાખ્યું છે અને ઘણા મેમ્બરો એમના પોતા જે ઇનહાઉસ સોફ્ટવેર છે ટ્રેડિંગના એમાં પણ કર્યું છે બેસ્ટ પ્રાઇઝિંગ ઓપ્શન. એટલે આ ઓપ્શન એવું છે કે તમારી જોડે સ્ટોક તમે બાય કે સેલ કરવો હોય અને આ ઓપ્શનમાં તમે માર્કેટ પ્રાઇસમાં સિલેક્ટ કરીને જ્યારે નાખવાનું હોય છે તો ઘણીવાર એવું થાય કે તમે બીએસસીમાં નાખ્યું હોય તો તમને બીએસસીમાં જ મળે છે, એનએસસીમાં નાખ્યું હોય તો એનએસસીમાં જ મળે છે, બરાબર. પણ આ ઓપ્શન સિલેક્ટ કરીને તમે કોઈ પણ મેમ્બરનું જેનામાં આ ઓપ્ટ આપેલી હોય એને એમાં થ્રુ તમે જો નાખો સોદો તો ઓટોમેટિકલી સિસ્ટમ જ્યાં આગળ સારો રેટ ઇન્વેસ્ટરને બેનિફિટ થતો હોય એ પ્રમાણે ફેચ કરીને એનો ઓર્ડર એક્ઝિક્યુટ થાય છે. તો આ એક બેસ્ટ પ્રાઇઝિંગ સોફ્ટવેરનું ડેવલપમેન્ટ થયું છે કે ઘણા લોકોને હજુ ખબર નથી હોતી કે ભાઈ આ છે કે નહીં કરી. ઘણા હવે ઓનલાઈન નોર્મલી હવે કોવિડના ટાઈમમાં બધા ઓનલાઈન ટ્રેડિંગ ઘણું ડેવલપ થયું છે, તો એમાં એક ઓપ્શન્સ છે. હવે ઘણા મેમ્બર્સોને ત્યાં આ ઇનબિલ્ટ જે એમનું ફ્રન્ટ એન્ડ જે છે સોફ્ટવેર કે ઓનલાઈન સોફ્ટવેર છે એમાં આ ઓપ્શન્સ એક આવી ગયેલું છે. તો એક ઓપ્શન્સ જ્યાં ના હોય તો તમે મેમ્બરને રિક્વેસ્ટ કરી શકો કે ભાઈ તમારે આ સોફ્ટવેરમાં ઓપ્શન્સ છે કે નથી કરીને. તો આનું એક એપ્લિકેશન તમે સારી રીતે કરી શકો છો. બીજું છે કે મ્યુચ્યુઅલ ફંડમાં એક પહેલાં એવું હતું કે લાર્જ કેપમાં હવે એક ફિક્સ કરી નાખ્યું છે કે અમુક પર્સન્ટેજ તમારે કે મલ્ટી કેપ ફંડ્સ હોય તો એમાં અમુક પહેલાં એવું હતું કે લાર્જ કેપનું ઇન્વેસ્ટમેન્ટ થતું હતું વધુ થતું, પણ હવે અલોકેશન્સ ડિફરન્ટ કરી નાખ્યું છે કે 25% લાર્જ કેપમાં હોવું જોઈએ મિડ કેપમાં હોવું જોઈએ અને સ્મોલ કેપમાં હોવું જોઈએ, અને બાકીનું રિમેનિંગ 25% છે એ ફ્લેક્સીમાં હોવું જોઈએ. તો આ એક પણ ડેવલપમેન્ટ સારું થઈ ગયું છે કે મેન્ડેટરી કરી નાખ્યું છે. બીજું છે કે આપણે નોર્મલી આપણે ઘણીવાર બધા કોન્ટ્રાક્ટ નોટ અત્યારના પણ ઘણા છે કે ઓનલાઈન ટ્રેડિંગ થતું હોય છે, તો કોન્ટ્રાક્ટ નોટનું થોડું ધ્યાન રાખીને સોદાનું જોવું જોઈએ. આ સાથે હું હવે વધારે સમય નહીં લઉં. થેન્ક યુ વેરી મચ સર કે આ બધું તમે જે જીસામાં અમને ભાગ આપ્યો છે. થેન્ક યુ સો મચ. હવે હું હેમલભાઈને રિક્વેસ્ટ કરીશ કે એ કરે, અને થેન્ક યુ સો મચ સર. થેન્ક યુ સો મચ.
થેન્ક યુ મહેશભાઈ. થેન્ક યુ.
થેન્ક યુ સર. થેન્ક યુ સર.
Good evening, Sameerbhai, Maheshbhai, Pranavbhai,
Thank you,
all
sir.
the other office bearers of GISA. Sameerbhai, मैंने याद છે ત્યાં સુધી my association with GISA is nearly 30 years or plus minus few years. એ વખતે ચિનુભાઈ શાહ જ્યારે અધ્યક્ષ હતા ત્યારે બજેટ પછીનું હંમેશા એક વાર્તાલાપ રહેતો અને એમાં મને ઇન્વાઇટ કરતા હતા. સો થેન્ક્સ ટુ Chinubai, GISA has grown by leaps and bounds, અને સમીરભાઈની અધ્યક્ષતામાં રેગ્યુલરલી દર મહિને 1 કે 2 તો ઝૂમ ઉપર અધરવાઇઝ ફિઝિકલ ઇન્વેસ્ટર અવેરનેસ પ્રોગ્રામ માટે કંઈ ને કંઈક કામ કરતા જ હોય છે. આજનો જે ટોપિક છે ESG ઇન્વેસ્ટિંગ, ધ ક્રેડિટ ગોઝ ટુ પ્રણવ પટેલ બિકોઝ હી સજેસ્ટેડ ધ ટોપિક, અને આઈ રેડીલી એગ્રીડ. એન્ડ આફ્ટર એગ્રીંગ આઈ થોટ કે ભાઈ મને તો કંઈ ખ્યાલ આવતો નથી આ ESG ઇન્વેસ્ટિંગનું, ખાલી એટલું જ મને ખબર છે વોટ ઇઝ ESG. બટ ધેન લાઈક many other lectures in the past, I take the opportunity of learning also while delivering a lecture. Over the years, if we see, there have been many investment themes which have been successful, and whenever investors have caught those investment themes in advance, Pranavbhai સંભળાય છે ને બરાબર? Those investment themes in advance, they have made good money over 3 to 5 years. So if you go back to history, 2003-2008 was the theme of infrastructure. Those people who invested in infrastructure companies made a lot of money. And later on, of course, they burned their fingers because the infrastructure sector did not do that well. Then came export sector in the year 2011-15. All export-oriented companies started doing well because of depreciation of rupee and etc. other reasons. Then the theme shifted to consumption sector because Indian demography, Indian population meant that the consumption sector would do well. So if you look at 2016-20, consumption theme really did well in the stock markets. In between, there was also the chemicals, specialty chemicals theme in 2016 to 2019. You also had the NBFC theme in the year 2014 to 19, when companies like Bajaj Finance and India Bulls Finance, etc., did extremely well on the stock market. So now we have to see which are the themes which are going to do well in the stock markets maybe over the next 3 to 5 years. One such theme is digitization, and we have seen the benefit of digitization which companies like Zomato have reaped in when they got their IPO oversubscribed so many times. And now you are having number of companies from the startup space like Nykaa, etc., all lining up their IPO. So they are all encashing the benefit of digitization, where people have been able to expand their business very fast thanks to the increase in mobile phones, increase of Wi-Fi, etc. 30 years back, MSCI International thought of sustainable investment and responsible investment. Companies can make profit, but are these profit sustainable and are out of any responsible business? So they came out with ESG investing theme. That theme meant that companies, apart from the financial parameters, have also to do well on the 3 things: investment, ESG, that is environment, social responsibility, and governance. We will see in details what each of these things mean. Just to give you a small idea, in India, our companies have raised about $5 billion in the current year through green bonds. That is, those companies who are wedded to ESG concept have been able to raise $5 billion from the international market. Some of them are unlisted also, like Greenco, Renew Power, Adani Electric, and listed companies like Ultratech, Shriram Transport Finance, JSW, Hydro Energy, etc. So now the theme is shifting to green fuel, green technologies, and green mobility. In the last AGM, a few weeks back, Reliance CMD Mukesh Ambani announced a very ambitious 75,000 crore investment in what he calls as the clean energy. Reliance, as you know, is in the refinery business. So now he wants to, over the next maybe 10, 15, 20 years, convert the entire technology into use of clean energy. And they have pledged 75,000 crores. Recently, if you look at the AGM pronouncement of Mahindra and Mahindra, they said apart from financial parameters, we also want to be judged by ESG criteria. And they have in their own way estimated that the social and environmental impact of M&M in the year 2021 financial year was about $4 billion. Now, there are companies who would not fall into the ESG parameters because of the specific business they are. So they are always excluded when people talk about the ESG investing. And for investors, the first important thing is to understand what is ESG investing, get some details about it, and also to understand whether there is, how do they, if they invest in the ESG, which are the companies or which is an index or which are the mutual funds which are giving them these schemes. So we'll slowly over the next few minutes see each of these three things. Now, what is ESG investing? ESG investing is a theme of investment, the practice of investing in companies after evaluating their policies towards ESG, that is towards environment, towards social responsibility, and through governance. So now let us look at, there are so many indicators to judge a company on environment. In fact, the people who do the rating of companies on the ESG parameters find that there are about 52 parameters. So some of these parameters are like carbon intensity trend, waste management, use of renewable energy, organic products, how they deal with hazardous products, etc. So these are just some of the criteria which I have outlined. There are 52 such criteria which are looked at by the rating agencies and people who try to judge companies on the ESG parameter. The second parameter is social responsibility. What is the working conditions policy, the working time, what is the employee fatality rate? In factories, you find that there are sometimes accidents. So how fatal or how safe the working conditions are there in the factory, and on that basis also they are judged. So if there is a accident in the factory, then the rating of that particular company can go down. But there could be reasons beyond its control. It could be natural reasons, like there could be flood or cyclone, and which can cause accidents in the factory, which may be outside the purview of the management or the control of the factory. Then you have whether there is a workman discrimination policy based on caste, creed, gender, etc. Do they treat the female employees and the men employees equally, or is there any discrimination? So this is another thing. What is the sort of employee training they provide? What are the health and safety management? And whether there is financial inclusion of everybody. So what is the salary gap between the lowest paid person and the highest paid person? So again, like in environment, even in social responsibility, there are 52 different indicators. And companies have shown good social responsibility, especially in the time of COVID. You can see the series of measures companies have taken of giving free vaccination to their employees, or giving employment to people to the children of people who died in COVID, who were employed with them. So there are a lot of other things which a lot of companies have done, and we should be thankful to these companies, because these are not their legal obligations, but these are their social responsibility, and they have stuck to the social responsibility very well. So you have seen even companies allowing people to work from home when there was lockdown, without in any way cutting the salaries, giving a lot of people bandwidth or connectivity or laptops to work from home, etc. So these are some of the social responsible measures which companies took while doing it. The third in the ESG is the governance. There are 34 different indicators on which governance is decided. How good the company is not only to be judged by the balance sheet, but whether the governance standards are excellent, whether the company discloses all it should do, whether the company discloses all it should do in the right framework. You look at companies like Infosys, over the years, they have a fixed schedule announced well in advance of their quarterly result board meeting. So anybody who is an investor in company like Infosys knows well in advance when that company is going to declare its quarterly results, how detailed that quarterly results are there in terms of analysis, whether all the indicators, good or bad, are indicated well in time. I distinctly remember nearly 20 years back, the famous quote of Narayan Murthy, when he said there is fog in the windscreen, in the sense that there is no clarity for us looking forward because of this, Y2K and other issues. So he made that very categorical statement that this year we are not able to clearly visualize the future. So our future guidance can be suspect, and that's why, he made a very clear, distinct thing. Any other management perhaps at that point of time would have not made such disclosure. He says, why should I make such disclosures right now which can affect my stock prices in the short term? And short term, the stock prices did plummet the next day by, I think, 5 or 10%. But then they started realizing the reasons behind the statement. They appreciated, and then the stock prices went up. So if you look at the companies who are excellent on the governance standard, then you have to give, among the top 5 companies, Infosys is the best company in terms of governance. Whether it has got a whistleblower program. So if there is anything wrong being done by any person in the management or in the employee hierarchy, is there any outside person or the employee who can blow his whistle without disclosing his name to either SEBI or to the company management? So you have seen a lot of companies being fined, some of the employees being fined because of insider trading based on the information they had, and some whistleblower really used that information and blew the things. So this is another important thing. Then what is the policy of the company on bribery and corruption? Does the company give bribes to get its work done, say to the regulatory authorities, whether it is income tax or GST or say SEBI or any licensing authority or government authority or municipal corporation, or it does not believe in those things, whether it does not resort to corruption or not? Then whether it has got a responsible investment policy. Lot of companies have a lot of money which is free money. Where do they invest? Do they invest in their private firms, or they invest in new ventures which are correlated with their own business, where a separate subsidiary is set up or a new division is started and shareholder approval is taken, or they just invest that money and then later on, you find a lot of companies have given intercorporate deposits to a different company, which is not the correct investment policy. Whether it has got a ESG governance board or a committee, and how diverse is the board of directors. How many people are there who are not from the family or from people who are controlling the business? How many people are independent directors? How many are women directors? So the diversity of the board is also very important to judge the governance standard of a company. So in short, ESG investing means looking at a company on 52 different parameters or indicators when it comes to environment. Looking at social indicators, there are 52 of them, and governance, there are 34 of them. Now, for an individual investor, this is not going to be possible to look at all the indicators. So you have companies and indices which track these indicators, and you have system analysis. There is a company internationally renowned which comes out with these ratings. Recently, in last month, in June, rather end of June, CRISIL also came out with a list of 225 companies which it has rated, and these companies were from 18 different sectors, and they rated 225 companies on the ESG parameters. CRISIL had done an excellent work. Back home, NSE has come out with a NSE 100 ESG index. ESG index which tracks companies out of the 100 NSE 100 companies. So what they have done is there is a NSE 100 index. So only these 100 companies will qualify for being part of the NSE 100 ESG index. Does it mean all companies in the NSE 100 index qualify? The answer is no. So they have chucked out certain companies who are the NSE 100 but not found a place in the NSE 100 ESG index. So the number of companies which qualify for the NSE ESG 100 index is now 88. So 12 companies out of the 100 are not there. Which are the companies which are not there? Companies which are into controversial businesses like cigarette, liquor, weapon, or very high pollution companies are not included in the NSE ESG 100. What is the methodology? The methodology is to give free float market capitalization weightage, but with a ceiling of 10% to a individual company. So there are 88 constituents in that index from 15 sectors. The base date of the index is 01/04/2011, 1st April 2011, and the base value was 1000. Like you have the Nifty base value 1994, and today Nifty is 16,365. So similarly, this has started with 1000. It has got sector representation from 15 different sectors. By weightage, if you look at it, the highest weightage, number one weightage goes to the financial sector with about 28.50% weightage. Then you have the IT sector which has got about 22% weightage, and then you have the consumer goods which has got about 12.72% weightage. There are 10 sectors which have weightage of 10% or lower in the ESG index. By and large, the ESG index has performed slightly better than the NSE 100 index because they have removed certain stocks which do not qualify for them. So if you track the NSE ESG 100 index, and you can either buy through the mutual fund, different mutual fund schemes are there, or you can buy those 88 companies through buying one demat or as per as the weightage given in the ESG index and create your own portfolio. Because these companies are good on the ESG parameters, the better ones have got a rating of about 72, and majority of the companies have got about 50 rating. Since ESG is a new concept in India, over a period of time, companies will become more and more pronounced and more focused on the ESG parameters and improve their score, so that they get more and more funds and they are more conscious about the climatic changes, about the societal changes, and about the governance requirement, and they will do much better and better over the years. Now, if you look at, there are 10 different mutual funds in India which are having ESG funds. The oldest is the SBI Magnum Equity Fund. Some have global funds and some of them are passive funds. So these passive funds, only like any exchange traded fund, would only invest as per the ESG norms. They will not do active management. Some of these have global funds, so they also invest in companies outside India. Some of them invest only 80% in the ESG sector, and balance 20% they invest in different companies. So you have to see the offer document of each of these companies and then decide. So they, apart from SBI, there is Axis ESG Equity, there is Quant ESG Equity, there is Mirai Asset ESG Sector Leaders Fund of Funds, there is Kotak ESG Opportunities Funds. These funds may invest part of the money in non-ESG stocks also. There is a HSBC Global Equity Climate Change Fund of Funds. There is Invesco India ESG Equity Fund. The AUM of these sustainable funds tripled to about 12,000 crores by last 3 years. So ESG investing is catching up. More and more investors are conscious about investing in ESG funds because they know these companies are socially relevant, they are environmentally very strong, and they are strong on the government segment. So ultimately you have to look at 3 bottom lines: profit, planet, and people. So governance, environment, and social responsibilities. How the companies make profit is also as important as how much money the company has made. So you don't even look only at the bottom line that this company has made quarter on quarter so much more money than the other companies, or prior year comparison, or Q on Q comparison, but how this money has been made. Have they adhered to the 3 ESG requirements or not? And these are very, very important criteria. CRISIL launched, as I said, the ESG rating scores for 225 companies across 18 sectors on June 28, 2021. Now these ratings are useful to A, the government, B, regulators, C, investors, 4th, lenders, and 5th, corporates themselves. So there is a very detailed rating process which CRISIL follows, and then they give the rating score, which acts as a very good barometer for companies to follow, and then they see how best to improve their rating score, where they are lacking, and in which of the things they can do. Now if you look at, say, the case of in Chennai, you had the Sterlite company not allowed to open the plant by the High Court because of pollution and other reasons. So these are things which affect. Back home in Ahmedabad, we know the case of dyestuff industry. Samir, we can really talk more about it, who really put their effluent treatment, not treating the effluent, but putting the effluent through a pipeline into the underground, thereby polluting the underground without taking any proper justification. You go back to Pirana and you see the amount of waste which has piled up, and that is not good for the city as whole. So lot of things are very important when you look at ESG, whether it affects the social responsibilities, whether it affects the health of people, whether it affects the environment, the locality, etc. These are also very important things. Now this ESG rating is on 3 main areas. So one is preparedness, second is disclosures, and third is performance. So when you look at preparedness, they look at the effectiveness of the company, its policies, its programs, and its own structures. Then when they look at the disclosures, they measure the effectiveness of the firm's standards and reporting process, whether they report everything properly, whether they report everything correctly, whether they report everything in an unambiguous manner, and whether they report everything on time. So many times you have seen in the past that there are some adverse developments in the company and they are not reported. Now courtesy SEBI and its own requirements, now companies have to disclose a lot of things on time, whether there is sale, inter-sale, promoter stake, or whether a CEO has resigned, or whether a new person has been inducted on the board, etc., etc. These are all the requirements of listed companies, and SEBI over the years has made these requirements, governance standard, very, very strong. Now they also come out with for 1,000 companies what they should do in terms of reporting, socially responsible reporting. Of course, it is voluntary now, but over a period of time, this will become extremely relevant and compulsory. The performance of the company in terms of rating also captures whatever controversies or incidents the company is involved and what are its responses. We have seen so many companies involved in so many other things. In terms of announcements, if you look at the recently listed Zomato, one good thing and one not good thing. One good thing, they have said that by 2030, they will convert their entire fleet of vehicles into e-vehicles. So they will not pollute the roads where they are using the vehicles for delivery of the Zomato food which has been ordered by the customers. Now you can see with the amount of impact it will have in the pollution over a period of next 10 years would be mind-boggling. If you look at the statement made by Rajiv Bajaj, the CMD of Bajaj Auto today, he says, we have set up a new subsidiary for e-vehicles and it's a very important business, and our existing management or I myself, he said that today, may not be relevant for that business. So we will look at, that's why we have set up a new subsidiary. We'll have new people, maybe a new management team in advance. And if we don't get into the e-vehicles, we'll become irrelevant over a period of time or we'll lose out market share. So the statements made by Anand Mahindra or Rahul Bajaj, Rajiv Bajaj or Mukesh Ambani in the last 1 or 2 months are very significant. One not so good thing about Zomato, when they came out with the issue, they made lot of detailed disclosures in their prospectus related to the year 31st March. After that, they have said that we will now only do annual analyst conference, we'll do annual disclosures over and above what is mandatorily required. Now, it is not very good beginning for a company which is setting up good standards of governance for the country. So with these brief things, let me again summarize. The emphasis is now on sustainable and responsible investment strategies which companies have to follow. It is not just only on the bottom line, but how sustainable their strategies will see that their business thrives, which is becoming socially relevant for the industry, for the population, for the places where they are, for their employees, etc. And how much aware they are towards their environment stability and economic development, and how much adherence to ethical standards they do, and the robust governance practices. So the ESG theme is an effective portfolio selection strategy which forms a much better risk management measures on the ESG parameters. So if you look out for companies which are into addictive products like cigarette, or you look at companies which are into liquor, or which are into mining and logging, or which are into poor environmental and risk management, are out of the ESG criteria. And if you look at the ESG criteria and how the ESG index has performed over the last 5-6 years as compared to the NSE 100 index, it has always done better than the NSE 100 index. So with this brief submission, I would now leave the floor to Pranav to take the matter forward. It's a new concept as far as people are concerned, but it's an important concept and theme, and it is good in India that we have got 10 mutual funds. So for individual investors, the opportunity is to invest through the mutual funds, or they can follow the NSE 100 ESG index, which is of 88 companies, select the companies, create their own portfolio, and reap the benefit of these companies doing better and better by also looking at the CRISIL 225 list of ESG ratings. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Pranav and Samir Bhai, and I hope in this short, about 25 minutes talk, I am able to cover the basic things as far as ESG investing is concerned. Over to you, Pranav.
Yes, thank you very much, Himal Bhai. We had a great learning experience regarding ESG investing. Samir bhai, can we have question and answers now? Samir bhai? I think Samir bhai is offline. So
no, he's there online, but he's mute.
Samir bhai, oh yes, he is there.
સાઈડમાં બેઠા હશે.
Yes, yes. કોઈને question હોય તો પૂછી શકે છે. Start. We can have QA sessions now. હિમલભાઈ, હું જ સ્ટાર્ટ કરું.
Okay.
Yeah. હવે I was going through a research report by Jefferies Global Brokerage, સારી brokerage firm છે. Now they came out with their research report on ITC with respect to ESG also. એટલે ITC, we know it's a majority of its revenue is from cigarette business. અને એ લોકોએ એમના રિસર્ચ રિપોર્ટમાં બધું સરસ એનાલાઇઝ કર્યું છે કે કાર્બન પોઝિટિવ 15 યર્સથી છે, વોટર પોઝિટિવ 18 યર્સથી છે, સોલિડ વેસ્ટ મેનેજમેન્ટ, રિસાયકલિંગ, એ બધું 30 યર્સથી એ લોકો બહુ સારું પરફોર્મ કરી રહ્યા છે ESGના અધર આસ્પેક્ટમાં. તો if we ignore cigarette business of ITC, assuming કે એ લોકો ફ્યુચરમાં એમના બીજા બિઝનેસીસ ડીમર્જ કરશે, તો તમારું શું કહેવું છે ITC બિઝનેસ માટે?
See, if you look at ITC as a stock, it has not done well in the last 5 years in
Yes.
terms of the returns it has generated on the stock markets. In terms of the profitability, in terms of dividend, they are doing well. End of the day, whatever businesses they are doing, the very fact that they're into cigarettes, and that is not a socially responsible business. You can't have a business which may make a lot of money for you, and then you use part of the money for doing other business like FMCG and hotels. Hotels has been a drag for the last 1 year because of the COVID things. I think only this week their CEO has gone on record saying that they are open to demerging the two divisions of FMCG and hotels. But hotels is not doing well. So by demerging today, it is not going to help them. Maybe a year or two, they will have to wait. In terms of FMCG, they have got traction in terms of the top line. But they are not as profitable in FMCG like a Hindustan Unilever or a Colgate or a Marico. So again, and then a lot of people have doubts whether all the advertisement expenses related to the businesses of hotels and FMCG are debited to those divisions, or it goes towards the expenses of the cigarette business, because still cigarette accounts for more than 75% of their revenue, and I think even more in terms of their profits. So they may have done a lot of things for reducing their factory pollution or effluent treatment or carbon footprint, etc., etc. But the very fact that you manufacture cigarettes, those cigarettes are used by people at large, which creates smoke and which creates pollution in the environment, itself is a very negative thing. That's why ESG investing, none of the people would recommend ITC as a stock to be invested. And that's why very conscious funds don't invest in ITC.
Yes. So I have checked the shareholding pattern of the ITC also. Most of the FPIs, foreign portfolio investors, FIIs, they are selling the stocks since last 3 to 4 years. And domestic investors like LIC, our mutual funds, they are buying like anything. So I don't know, they are assuming that...
Sorry to interrupt you. There was a good joke that ITC and LIC are mutually coexisting, you know.
Yes,
ITC
yes.
kills people and insurance जिंदगी के बाद भी और जिंदगी के साथ भी, so it helps. LIC is in no business to remain invested in ITC. It is not good for LIC.
Yes. Even government holding of Sutti also, I mean, it is, it's a confusing part on the shareholders. When they are going to liquidate their shareholding, we don't know. So that is also one of the issues.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. હવે જ્યોત્સનાબેન પૂછે છે દારૂના શેર વધારે ચાલે છે મ્યુચ્યુઅલ ફંડ HNIs ના કારણે. તો હવે એમાં શું કરવાય liquor stocks માં?
See, again, like cigarette, liquor stocks are outside the purview of ESG investing. They are never recommend. So liquor as a business may make a lot of money because it is price insensitive. So people are going to drink irrespective of whether the price is increased by 5 or 10 or 15%. Secondly, there is not much of capital expenditure required every year in liquor business. Thirdly, they don't have to spend a lot of money on advertising. So there is adequate demand. In lockdown, there was a good photo of I think Kerala, where there was a huge line and people thought that they are there for vaccination or what was the reason. Then they found out that when the lockdown was just lifted, there was a huge line for people to go and buy liquor, So that is the thing. So it may be a good business. It's like, stock market, or gambling, whether you should do gambling or whether you should do speculation, it is up to individuals' own criteria and own ethical standards, But as far as ESG is concerned, cigarettes or liquor is outside the purview of ESG. There are 5 criteria and category 4 and 5th, they don't fit into, these two businesses don't fit into those category because these are all controversy criteria.
ઓકે. અને ફરીથી જ્યોત્સનાબેન પૂછે છે કે ITC માં બધું ડીમર્જ થઈ જાય બિઝનેસ તો કયા બિઝનેસમાં વધારે સારી ઓપોર્ચ્યુનિટી? FMCG, હોટેલ્સ, IT નું પણ હમણાં લેટેસ્ટ કંઈ બહુ સારું પરફોર્મન્સ છે. એમનું બહુ નાનું ડિવિઝન છે IT નું, ITC નું. તો એમાં પણ CEO ના કમેન્ટ સારા આવ્યા છે કે કદાચ IT નું ડિવિઝન એ લોકો ડીમર્જ અલગથી કરે. તો ITC ના બીજા ડિવિઝન
number of years people have suggested to the management to demerge, but for reasons best known to them, they do not want to demerge. Okay. As I said, because there may not be too much of profitability in different divisions, right? Again, FMCG is a very growing business for them. So I presume that FMCG will be demerged in a couple of years. Maybe hotels will get demerged in a year or two once the COVID thing stabilizes, You have seen the results of Indian hotels, Taj Group. They have come out with a loss in the first quarter. And I'm quite sure even ITC also makes a lot of loss. You just look at the Fortune Park Hotel at Ahmedabad, which is run by ITC. They have a monthly overheads of 45 lakhs. Now, you know that 40 fixed overheads I'm talking about because of electricity and manpower, etc. So that is the type of expenditure they incur. And then if the room occupancy because of COVID restrictions is hardly 1 or 2 or 3, it is bound to make losses. This is 45 lakhs of rupees is a large amount for one hotel in one location in 1 month.
Yes. NK અમીનભાઈ પૂછે છે, અમીનભાઈ આપનો ક્વેશ્ચન પૂછવો હોય તો પૂછી શકો છો અનમ્યુટ કરીને.
ભાઈ તમારું પ્રેઝન્ટેશન સરસ રહ્યું, પણ મારે એક ક્વેરી હતી કે સુઝલોન એ ESG સ્ટાન્ડર્ડમાં ફિટ બેસે છે કે કેમ? અને જે નવી જનરેશનના ઇલેક્ટ્રિક બાઇક અને એ ટેકનોલોજીના કોઈ શેરો અત્યારે લિસ્ટેડ હોય તો તે કહેશો આપ? થેન્ક યુ.
See, specific comment on Suzlon. If you look at ESG, the E part they are doing well because they are making windmills. So they are trying to help the companies to get away from the carbon footprint, generate wind energy, whereby pollution is reduced. So on the E part they are doing well. As far as S is concerned, they are not making much money. So I'm not very sure how conscious they can be about the thing. And corporate governance could be a problem in Suzlon, because it was a darling of the stock markets about 5-10 years back, and then suddenly over the years it has started making a lot of losses. So it's very, very difficult to give them a good certificate on the governance part. As far as environment part is concerned, excellence, definitely. As far as companies who are in the e-scooters, as of date, I don't think there is anyone in the listed space, to the best of my knowledge. Like I said, Bajaj Auto, they have formed a new subsidiary. Hero Honda has formed a subsidiary or a new company. I don't know whether Adani will take over. That I have no inside information, whether Suzlon will be taken over by Adani. Anybody can take over any other company. It is up to individual promoters to decide whether it is a strategic fit for them and whether one of them is for sale or not. Market rumors will be there every day on different companies, and if the rumors die down and they don't resurface, it means they're only rumors, So if it is a rumor, it has to get translated into reality in a very short period of time. The important factors now, if you look at it, there is a lot of climate change. World over, everybody is paying a lot of respect and attention to climatic changes. You look at the monsoon in Ahmedabad this year, it's so erratic. Even you had a cyclone sometime in May, which cooled down the temperature. Maybe you got some good rainfall, etc. But after that, what has happened? The rainfall has been very inadequate in Ahmedabad. So these climatic changes, and why are these climatic changes done? If you look at early 90s or even before this, then you would see that most of the buildings did not have an air conditioner. The cars before Maruti came into did not have a AC. So there was no carbon emission happening out of the air conditioning system. And that's why, and you had a lot of green trees, which over a number of years have been cut. Mahindra has given a clarion call that they're going to invest 5 million trees over a period of time. So everybody wants to go green, invest trees, but the amount of trees are also cut. The pollution is increasing in the air, in the atmosphere, because of the use of things like air conditioners, and also because of use of old vehicles. Now if you look at 15-year-old vehicles, you see so much smoke they generate in the atmosphere, and still government is not biting the bullet to scrap these vehicles. The day they start scrapping 15-year-old vehicles, especially trucks and scooters, etc., the atmosphere will improve.
અને બ્રોકરેજ કંપનીઝ અને ESG માં એટલે ગવર્નન્સ ના શું ઇશ્યુઝ હોઈ શકે ટ્રેક કરતા હોય બ્રોકરેજ કંપનીઝ?
If you look at financial sector or IT sector, so financial sector I would include brokerage firms because it's a service in financial services. None of them have got any issues related to the environment part, except for the little bit of pollution they create through their own systems in office of using computers and ACs, etc. So that is a very small thing. As far as social contribution is concerned, the very fact that they are able to give connectivity to scores of new investors in the last 1 year is their contribution to the society. Their contribution to give as much information to their investors when they have to make a call on investing is also their contribution on the social part. As far as governance is concerned, there are very few listed brokering houses, maybe few of them. Balance are all unlisted companies, So their governance standard don't matter because their investors are their own or their own family circle, or maybe a couple of private investors or some private equity fund. So for them, adherence to governance standard is not a necessity. As far as adherence to governance standard is concerned, most of the broking houses are doing good governance because SEBI and NSE and BSE have come out with so many criteria that is very, very difficult for any broking house not to do proper governance.
Pranav, any other questions?
No other questions.
હિમલભાઈ, હવે તમારી સાઈડ થી 2-3 સારી સેક્ટરની ટીપ આપી દો. તમારું analysis.
According to my analysis, if you look at 6 months from today, the inflation in the country and globally is going to increase because of the liquidity which has been injected by the Federal Reserve. So as and when they start tapering, whether it happens in September, October, December or March is to be seen, because lot of money which has been injected to in the system has indirectly or directly gone into the stock markets. So once that liquidity gets withdrawn, then you will find that the markets will not do well. Again, if you look at the market is discounting the earnings very, very favorably presently. They feel that the lockdown is over, so a lot of companies are going to make money. But if you look at the bottom of the pyramid, you look at the middle sector, if you look at the small businesses, they have all suffered a lot of difficulties, losses, lack of income, etc. So indirectly it is going to hurt their consumption. So over a period of time, many of these companies are going to get hit. Now if you look at the savings, cost saving which a lot of companies did because of work from home, now is getting changed. If you look in USA, some of the companies have announced that those employees who work from home, they will face a penalty or they'll get lesser income. So now they are all discouraging people to work from home. So this is going to affect their cost. Because of lack of less travel, most of the companies have saved on traveling cost. So this Zoom etc. is good. Today we are able to do this seminar on Zoom, and thereby GISA is able to save cost on payment to AMA. But what GISA is able to save money is lack of income for AMA. So one man's benefit is another man's loss. So it's a zero-sum game. So if you look at the market, according to me, will react. Whether it will react in the next 1 week or 1 month, it is very difficult to say. But it will react, and only those stocks which now, if you look at what was the rate of Infosys, 1380 rupees around the time the quarterly result was announced, or little before that. What is the rate today? 1690. Has Infosys come out with any concrete announcements of takeover or strategic acquisitions or getting new businesses which will change their gravity and they'll start making huge revenue growth of 20% on dollar terms? None of these announcements have taken. Yeah, one reason is because there is a buyback in place. Lot of stock is getting lifted. Once that buyback is over, people will again see that there is no information required, new information which can justify the stock price of Infosys to be around 1700. Why should Infosys be this? What happened to HCL today? Nearly 1100 rupees. What has changed in HCL to get a 10% return in the last couple of months? So these are all products of F&O. There are people who have gone short in the futures, or there are people who have made a lot of adjustments through the option route, and that's why unfortunately India is one of the leading stock countries which allows options on stocks. Even USA does not allow options on stocks. So it becomes very easy to manage any particular stock through the options and future route as well as the delivery route. Now let me give a small example. Supposing Infosys was 1500 rupees and a lot of people feel it is overpriced, so they will sell their future stock at 1500 rupees. Strong hands will buy those futures at 1500 rupees, and every day what they will do, they will go on buying the floating stock from the market. They have a target of 1700, so they would buy the options. They know that that price of the option may be just a few rupees, 200 rupees ahead, and slowly they go on pumping money into Infosys stock, and they make a lot of gains in the future stock which they have bought through the mark to market route. That credit goes to them, that they finances their delivery based trading. So I would not use the word manipulation, but there is a lot of managed stocks in India which are because of the F&O system in our country. No leading stock exchange in the world would permit options on stocks. Then the most unfortunate part is, why do you have weekly expiry of index? Indexes are supposed to be hedging products mainly, but it has become speculative products. You see the huge amount of trading which happens on the index options on the weekly expiry, which was today. You look at different series, different strike prices, because it has become Khelo India, Khelo type thing. You put some money, whether you think it is justified to buy a call or buy a put, or a sell a call or a sell a put for a couple of hours. It has become like a casino thing. You just put in 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 20 rupees, put a stop loss somewhere. So this is not healthy as far as investment climate is concerned. And what was wrong yesterday when Nifty was 16,160 at the bottom, and today it was 16,360 at the top? What has changed in the country, in the economy, in the corporate structure, in the corporate newsrooms to see that from yesterday till today there has to be 200 points increase in Nifty? It is purely and purely because of the weekly expiry route. So somewhere BSE unfortunately does not provide a platform on the derivatives F&O side. They should do something to give good competition to NSE on the F&O side. Government should become vigilant and stop these weekly options. To my mind, it serves no purpose. You can't do a hedging for one day, or what is there in the economy which is going to change that you are going to do hedging for a day? Is there an election round the corner? Is there some important monetary policy news which you can't hedge through the monthly options? So this management of the index is done through the option and future route, and this Khelo India, Khelo, people just want to put some money, bet for it. And I have seen so many days where a 4-5 rupees option becomes 60, 70, 80 rupees at the end in the same day. So people bet on it कि भाई 5 बार तुम्हें 5 रुपया रोको, you lose 25 rupees. Maybe 6th time you are lucky and you will make 30 rupees, 40 rupees. So it is purely instinctive buying of options to make money in the short duration of couple of hours, which is not good for investment climate.
9,000 કરોડ જે SIP માં આવે છે એ જવાબદાર નથી.
See the amount of money which has gone into the IPO. Now IPO is again, I've been observing it for the last 40 years. Today there was a good information shared by somebody, which I will try to see if I can share with you right now. Okay, the number of IPOs which came from the year, he has put the data of how many companies came out with IPO, I think from 2014 or something. How many of them are still quoted at a price which is more than the IPO price, and how many of them are traceable. So this is, everybody wants to make money in the short run. Sorry, year 2007 saw around 100 IPOs. Only 11 out of these 100 have beaten the CNX 500 index returns in this period. 31 don't even trade today. So nearly 30% of those IPOs are, we are talking about the year 2007. In 13 years, they have not done better than the broad index. 70% has not done better than the broad index. So this IPO also has become a lottery, and GISA should take up the matter with SEBI that genuine investors get allotment. People borrow 500 crores, 1000 crores, make HNI application. Who is a HNI? HNI is one who has got his own funds to invest, not borrowed funds. And then you increase the limit for retail investor from 15,000 to say 2 lakhs or 5 lakhs, which is the limit for F&O trade, which means you allow people to put in 1 lakh, 2 lakhs or 5 lakhs of rupees and qualify them as retail investor. You restrict the size of the HNI application to 10 crores. Why do you allow people to make 500 crores, 1000 crore application? How long are these going to be there? And then you have this system of anchor investors whose lock-in is for 1 month. How many of the anchor investors remain investors after 3 months? Not many of them. Then there are pre-IPO allotments. SEBI has now reduced that period to 6 months, that you can sell off within 6 months. So somewhere all these changes is not very healthy for the creation of a good vibrant capital market and a good retail investor base. Why did it take some 40 years to increase the number of investors as they have done in the last 1 year? So these are my personal views.
પણ હિમલભાઈ આ 9,000 કરોડની જે એસઆઈપી આવે છે એ ચાલુ રહે તો પછી ક્યાંથી બજાર રિએક્ટ નેગેટિવ કરે?
But any समय see the amount of money which is going into IPO per month, it will be much more than that. Then you have the QIB, then you have the right issues. You have so many other sources which are going to withdraw money from the SIP. And where is this money of the SIP going? It is going into narrow band of stocks, 5, 10, 15, 25, 30, 50 stocks. What about the other companies? So lot of money chasing a few stocks is going to increase the price, because these SIP investors have given mandate to the mutual fund to remain invested, and they have no choice but to invest. And then you find some adverse thing happening in the economy like COVID. Lot of people stop SIPs, lot of people withdraw from SIPs, and that is where the mutual funds have to do force selling.
Anyway, Pranav, does anybody have any other question? કોઈ હાથ કર્યો છે ઊંચો?
No other questions.
Okay, then if everybody is fine, Hemalbhai,
Yeah, thank you
very much for the
my pleasure.
And we will in another 3 to 4 months have you again.
Thank you.
So we can review what we have talked today on behalf of all of us. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Himal bhai.
Thank you, Pranav. Thank you, Samir bhai. Thank you, Praveen bhai.
Thank you, Pranav bhai. Bye-bye.